Windsor, Colorado is quickly becoming one of the most popular areas to raise a family in northern Colorado. In this video, I'm going to talk about the top 5 reasons why I think you should consider raising your family in Windsor, Colorado. Let's get started. Hi there, Christy Lee here, and I am a local real estate agent in the state of Colorado, but more importantly, I am a native of Colorado. If you're new to my channel, all of my videos are catered to help you figure out where the best place to live is. If that's something that interests you, please click that subscribe button right there. That way you are notified every time I have a new video. Now, as much as I love making these videos for you, I love hearing from you more, so please reach out to me anytime. My contact information is right there. All right, so today I'm going to be talking about Windsor, Colorado, and why it is becoming so popular to not only move to, but to raise a family in. So jumping right in, the very top reason why I think you should consider moving to Windsor and raising your family in Windsor, Colorado is just straight up the affordability. The affordability when it comes to houses, rentals, all of that kind of stuff is going to be quite a bit less than some of its surrounding areas. For example, the median home price right now in 2023 in Windsor is going to be roughly $650,000. That's going to get you about 2,000 to 2,300-ish square feet. And honestly, it's going to be newer. Windsor is booming. It's growing so rapidly. It's one of the fastest growing cities in Colorado in general. But because it is growing and there's a bunch of new construction out there, you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck if you move there. Now, another cool thing about that is the fact that it is relatively less expensive than some of its surrounding areas like Fort Collins and Longmont, I would say as well, is that it's kind of already built in equity because it is growing. Northern Colorado as a whole is just booming. So if you're able to get in now, you know, while it's still relatively inexpensive, I use that loosely for, you know, some people at different areas of the country, but you could get in now and get a much better house, larger house, or a newer house. Stay in it for a few years and just watch your equity grow because people are gravitating towards this area and you're just gonna get in right when it all starts. The second reason I think you should consider raising a family in Windsor is because of its small town charm. Now, it does have about 35,000 people in population who live in Windsor. So, I mean, it's not small by any means. However, they still capture that small town feel, that small town charm. They have their main little strip of, you know, restaurants. There's a few restaurants, a couple of boutiques. There's a coffee and ice cream shop. But they also have a lot of events that they get their residents involved in. They have Oktoberfest, movies in the park, concerts in the park, Winterfest, those kind of things that people just naturally are just gravitating towards. And I find that those type of events are usually only going to be in these smaller towns. I mean, once you start getting into the larger cities, say Fort Collins, Denver, now they do have those things. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to discount Denver, Fort Collins, Boulder, any of that for not having these events because they absolutely do. But there's just something special about these smaller population, and when you get you know, the group together who lives in Windsor, who are all kind of, you know, raising their families together, they have kiddos all running around, it's just a little bit more special, and that's what I really love about this area. All right, so number 3 is going to be its location. Now, Windsor is going to be roughly, 45 minutes or so north of Denver, but really only about 20 minutes south of Fort Collins. So the location actually is what I'm talking about is going to be comparable to Fort Collins, Greeley, and Loveland. So if you are somebody who works in, say, the medical field or even the education field, Windsor is going to be a great location for you because there's hospitals all over the place in those areas, but you're going to have UNC, the college UNC out in Greeley, and then you have CSU out in Fort Collins. So you're going to actually have a wide variety of employment, as well as just the convenience of, getting to all these areas really, really quickly. Fort Collins, I absolutely love Fort Collins. And Fort Collins is definitely a college town, like I just mentioned, but they have a lot going for it too. And they're gonna have, their cool downtown area. They're gonna have Horsetooth Reservoir. There's a bunch of stuff up in Fort Collins, and to be able to access Fort Collins within 20 minutes or so, especially if you are into your microbrews, Fort Collins is like the capital of microbrews. So you're really close to that as well. So that's why I really do love Windsor. The downside though, what I say with location is because it is quite a bit farther from obviously Denver. So if you're somebody who needs to go into Denver for work, Windsor might be a little bit far for you, especially for traffic during rush hour time. But if you're planning on going there for a game or a concert or something like that, just know you are going to be driving roughly an hour or so each way just to get into Denver. So if you do have kiddos, I will say that Windsor is located in 3 different school districts, which is kind of unique because it is relatively small, right? So you have Weld RE4, you have the Poudre School District, and you have Thompson RJ2. So you do have 3 different options on where you might send your kiddo, and they're all great. I looked on niche.com, and just the Weld RE4 is going to be ranked number 3 out of the Weld County, like number 3 school out of the Weld County, the whole Weld County area. So I mean, it is a really great area within Weld County. I can't speak to the other 2, but I honestly haven't heard anything negative about it as well. So overall, I will say, you're gonna have kind of that small town, the classes are gonna be a little bit smaller, you're not gonna have a bunch of schools all located within, one area. Like I grew up in Arvada and there was 4 high schools, a bunch of middle schools. You're not gonna really have that in Windsor just because it is small. It is growing though, so I mean, I'm sure they're gonna be building more schools, of course. But overall, I feel like it's a great area to send your kiddo, especially since you do have the option of the 3 different areas, the 3 different districts. And we do open enroll in Colorado. So if you don't like one district, you could definitely open enroll in another one. So do your research on that and figure out which area works best. Okay, and Windsor, just like every other area in Colorado, is very much geared to its outdoor activities. So Windsor actually does love its water. It actually has quite a bit of water in Windsor, which is pretty unique, honestly, to Colorado. So you're gonna have the Windsor Lake. Boyd Lake is gonna be in Loveland, so that's gonna be super close. You have the Poudre River. All of these things, you can go fishing, rafting, boating. They love to hike. As a whole, like the people who live there, they love to hike, they love to fish, ride their bike, all of that good stuff. So I will say they are very much catered to the outdoor lifestyle. I will say if you want to raise your kids in this area, they probably most likely will be involved in something like that outside. We do like to be outside a lot. Now, if you like to camp, there's so much camping all over the place. I would say the closest for you, if you're gonna live in Windsor, is gonna be probably Fort Collins, or even head up to Rocky Mountain National Park out in Estes Park. And I think there's quite a few bit in Greeley too. But Greeley, I mean, it's flat, so I mean, you're not really have the mountains. You could also head up to Wyoming. But I will say, as far as skiing is concerned, if you are a skier or a snowboarder or anything of the winter sports, it is going to be quite a bit farther than some of the other areas around Colorado, just because it's so much north. Windsor's quite a bit north, and there's really no ski resorts up there. The closest you're probably going to find is Eldora, which is just outside of Boulder. So you are still looking at least an hour just to get to Eldora, and that's not even as big of a mountain as some of the major ones like, Winter Park, Breckenridge, Copper, Vail, all of that good stuff. That's going to be at least 2 hours plus to get to if you're going to live in Windsor. All right, so those are my top 5 reasons on why I think you should consider raising a family in Windsor, or even just considering moving to Windsor in general. It's a great location. It's beautiful, and you get a lot more bang for your buck, to be honest. Please reach out to me if you have any questions about anything. Remember to click that subscribe button right there. That way you are notified every time I have a new video. And then to the next video, take care.